all eyes are on Georgia again this midterm cycle following the hotly contested results of the 2020 presidential election. There are still a lot of people who are skeptical about ballot counting, and there has been an overall slump in voter confidence. Former President Trump issued false claims about voter fraud in the state after he lost to President Biden in 2020. But now Georgia is passing sweeping voter restrictions as President Trump, or former President Trump, focuses on getting more Republicans elected. But a new poll from The Hill and Emerson College shows some of those candidates are now trailing in their races. Joining us now to discuss all of this and what we can see out of Georgia, Julia Manchester from The Hill. Julia, according to that poll, Governor Brian Kemp is leading Trump-backed David Perdue by 11 points. And Kemp is favored by 43% of respondents with over a month to go until the election. Do you think Kemp could maintain that lead?
Yeah, it's very possible. However, I would say that ahead of the primary, you're going to see more candidates like David Perdue putting more ads up on air. You're going to see more campaigning, and that could likely narrow this gap. And, you know, it was interesting in that piece that was written by my colleague in The Hill, David Perdue's spokesperson essentially said, look, this isn't a good poll for Brian Kemp. Even though he's ahead, he's an incumbent governor, and he's only in the 40s when it comes to this poll. So that's certainly one way to spin it. But I think the overarching narrative of this, Adrienne, is really whether President Trump and his backed candidates can survive a number of these Republican primaries. And if these foes of President Trump, or, you know, President Trump, who he says are his foes, like Brian Kemp, for example, can they survive? And this poll does not paint a good picture for President Trump and his supporters and his backed candidates.
Okay, so let me just read this note for you. A majority of undecided Republican gubernatorial primary voters, that's such a mouthful, say that Trump's backing of Perdue has no impact on their vote. So would you say that this primary election and the results of Trump-backed candidates in the polling, is that a test of kind of showing us what Republicans want looking ahead to 2024?
It's absolutely a test. And I think it's a test of Trump's brand going into 2024, because we know that he has continuously floated the idea of running for president once again in 2024. But like I said, this poll, at least this data that we're seeing, doesn't bode well for the former president and those who he is backing. Though I do think the polls can definitely narrow ahead of the primary. You're going to see more campaigning, more television, print, radio ads. But at the same time, you know, the fact that, you know, this shows that David Perdue, a former senator from Georgia, definitely has an uphill climb to go going against an incumbent governor like Brian Kemp. Remember, even though Brian Kemp broke from the then leader, or the leader of the Republican Party, Donald Trump, over the 2020 election claims, he's still an incumbent governor, and incumbent candidates, whatever race they're running in, always have an advantage. So I think it goes to show, it, you know, also poses the question, you know, how much do Republican primary voters, or voters in general, care about an election that happened 2 years ago? There's so much more happening right now, Adrienne, that other Republicans are focusing on. Inflation, rising crime, the situation at the U.S. southern border. I think this could be a moment of reckoning for what that messaging is for the former president if he's going to go out and continue to campaign for candidates like David Perdue.
Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.